Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Galactic Guidance. It is Tuesday, June 1st. We've got that beautiful, fresh June energy finally coming into play. So, I don't know if you had a chance to see the June energy video on YouTube, but I've been doing monthly energy reports. Hi, Jiri. Thanks for joining. So, monthly energy reports have been going up on YouTube since April. So there was an April energy report, May energy report, and the June energy report is now live up on YouTube. Today is June 1st. It is so exciting to have some fresh new energy. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, April and May were really heavy. There was so much happening. It was actually a lot of like heart chakra upgrades. And those upgrades have now been fully downloaded into the heart chakras and are going online this month. So we're definitely going to feel a lot of warmth and freedom in our hearts. And then also in April and May, we were doing a lot of balancing between divine feminine and divine masculine. It kept bouncing back and forth between the sacral chakra to the solar plexus to the sacral, like bouncing back and forth between the two centers of the divine feminine, which is the sacral, and the divine masculine, which is the solar. So back and forth so much in order to try to create this balance. So we're definitely still going to be working through some of the feminine to masculine balance. So that, hi everyone that's joining. Sorry, I'm ignoring you. Hi Marvin, how are you? How is everyone? Sama Joe, Collector of Love, Silver Linings. Thank you all for joining. So there's a lot going on this month, still with the divine feminine and the divine masculine, but we've got the upgraded heart chakra energy online. So there's going to be relief in the heart chakra. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Ascension Energies right now. So what are you all feeling? Let me know in the comments, okay? So for me, yesterday I was so exhausted, so tired, and I had a headache. Hi, Glitter Goddess, Sean. And I don't really get headaches that often. But it was weird. My eyes were like dizzy, so tired, such a headache, kind of grumpy, didn't feel like doing anything, but had work to do. And then today, I feel like a slight lift in that energy. Like I actually kind of forgot that it was the first day in June, yet today I found that I was able to get up a little bit earlier, which was nice. Get a little bit more done, just feel a slight difference in things lightening up. Like I'm still kind of tired, but it's nowhere near what I felt like this, especially the last part of May, like the last part of it was so much purging and so much happening. So you can just expect now this slight difference each day becoming more and more. So each day of June, feeling a little bit more relief every single day when it comes to the exhaustion, when it comes to like the sadness, the waves of sadness and despair that we were experiencing over the last month, those are going to be feeling so much relief. So a lot of the heaviness is going to start lifting now. So if you haven't felt a little bit of change in that today, you can expect to start really feeling that. So June has a few things in store for us. I just have a few notes here about it. So each day is going to get easier and also more clear. Like you're going to feel like you have more clarity each day in June as well, which is so amazing. And then, so we've got a solar eclipse coming up on June 10th. So I've got a video that'll be coming out all about the solar eclipse on YouTube. So make sure that you check that out, and that'll be coming out on Sunday in preparation for the June 10th, which is going to be a Thursday. Okay, so this solar eclipse is actually divine feminine energy coming in because the solar energy is masculine, because that's like the solar plexus, right? Doesn't that make sense? So solar plexus, solar, sun, all masculine. It's all about action. Feminine is sacral chakra. It's the moon energy. It's all about intuition, creativity, inspiration, and that. So we're trying to balance out the two still, because there is a huge imbalance in this society, as we all know. It is overrun by not necessarily divine masculine, but just a bit of toxic masculinity. And then the feminine has been kind of like hushed or pushed down. So now we're trying to upgrade the masculine energy to divine masculine, as well as bring up the divine feminine. So there is a lot to be done with that. So this solar eclipse coming up on June 10th is really going to help with that. So what's going to happen is the moon is going to pass between the sun and the earth. So it's almost like divine feminine charting a path between the divine masculine energy hitting the earth, interrupting it. So you can picture that like divine feminine energy, which we've been working on rising for a long time, since the beginning of the year 2021, right? So you can picture now that divine feminine energy is breaking the beam of masculine energy that is continually hitting the earth. And it's happening in a big way during this solar eclipse on June 10th, because it's a total solar eclipse. So actually, no, it's an annular solar eclipse. So the moon is going to block out everything but the outer ring of the sun. So you'll be able to see that depending on what part of the earth you're in. Mostly North America will be able to see it. Thanks for joining Akashic Spiritual Life. So the solar eclipse happening on June 10th is going to be divine feminine love rays and emotions. Then we have in the month of June also the summer solstice, the equinox. So this is the longest, brightest day of the year. It's also my birthday. It is going to be so full of divine masculine energy, because the sun is literally, this is the longest day of the entire year for the sun. As you all know, that's what the solstice is. Longest, brightest day, most sun happening that day, most masculine, divine masculine energy happening that day. So that's going to be a day of inspired action. And it's divine masculine, so it's going to help transmute a lot of the toxic masculinity still happening. And it's going to help balance out the energy from the solar eclipse. So the solstice comes in to balance it back out. So every time something happens with one, the other side needs to balance it out. And it just keeps, that's what that feeling of bouncing back and forth between the two. So that's what you can expect in the month of June. And so I just asked how some of you were feeling with the Ascension Energies, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying exhausted, extremely exhausted, headaches and exhaustion. Yep, a little heavy and a little tired. And that you could use the relief. Absolutely. So that's exactly how I was feeling all the month of May, especially the last 2 weeks, especially yesterday. Oh my God, I was so tired and had such a headache. Okay, so we have this all to look forward in June. A real, a lifting and a relief energy. So that's fantastic. So then the next thing that I wanted to talk about before I get to your questions, I do have some questions from last week and a few questions from this week, but if you have questions that you haven't sent in yet, please feel free to add them into the comments section, and I'll be sure to get to them as well. So just quickly, what I wanted to talk about is when I tuned in to see what the Starseed Collective needs to hear, or the energy that's coming through for the Starseed. I'm not necessarily checking in on the collective consciousness of humanity when I'm tuning in for my videos and lives, because I used to do that, and then I was given the message that really my audience is more starseeds. So it's the Starseed Collective that I need to be tuning into what they need, which makes so much sense, right? Like, it's Starseed Academy, for goodness sake. So this isn't for the whole collective of humanity, because that's not my audience. My audience is the Starseed Collective. So when I was tuning in, hello Esme, hello Heather, thanks for joining. So when I was tuning in about what we needed, the message that came through for today's live was, are you connecting with your team? Because you are not alone, yet you are acting like you are. So many of us are trying to go it alone, do everything on our own, and not ask for help, ever. No matter how hard it is, or how bad we feel, or how low we're feeling, or how much the Ascension Energies are hitting hard, we're still not asking for help for some reason. And I can definitely be guilty of this as well. And I don't know why. Sometimes we just forget. Sometimes we just are so absorbed in the emotions and the sensations that we're feeling that we don't step outside of that to check in with our team. And they're just wanting to remind us that, you guys, it's as simple as asking for relief. They can do so much for us. If you're suffering, one great example is when I was suffering with a lot of ringing in the ears from clairaudience upgrades, ear chakra upgrades. I suffered with it for way longer than I should have before I actually asked for help. And then when I did ask for help, it was like immediate relief. Like they can just tone down the sensations, but you're still getting the upgrades that you need. You're still getting the benefits of the ascension symptoms. Like the benefits are still coming through of your upgrades and whatever you need. They're not turning off the things that you need. However, they can help with the sensation and the side effects and the intensity of it. So why are we not going to them for relief and asking for help, right? So maybe you could think on that for yourself and just know that you don't have to do it all alone, right? And this isn't just for uncomfortable sensations that we're feeling. This is also for things that we're trying to achieve. A lot of people are trying to achieve like an open third eye. A lot of people are trying to achieve astral travel and remembering it, because we are definitely astral traveling already every single night. It's really just about you wanting to be lucid during the experience and then remember it when you wake up. So I understand wanting those things. So ask for them, right? It's so simple. It's not complicated. Connecting with your team, asking for help is easy. It's so simple. You literally just talk to them. They're always listening. It's really powerful if you use their name. So if you've either gotten a reading with me and you have some of the names of your guides, or if you were able to tune in and get some of their names, then you can talk to them by name. Like you can call them in. Especially if like for instance, that you have Archangel Michael on your team, use his name. Using any spirit's name, any being, using their name calls their attention in immediately, and it calls them to you. So that is a really powerful tip. Instead of just talking generally, which is still great if you're doing that, because that means you're making an effort to communicate and connect with your team. Instead of just talking generally, though, really use their name. So Archangel Michael, please join me. I need help right now. I'm feeling this. And you know what he's good for. He's good for security. He's like a bodyguard, and he's good for clearing. So if you need a clearing done, like a reset done on your system, or your home is the energy's feeling a little off and you need a clearing done, you can clear your home, yourself, anything, just by requesting it. It's so easy. It's not complicated. And then you can empower that by visualization and using your imagination too, right? So, use their names, call them in, realize that we are not alone. Please start asking for help. Please start connecting with your team and communicating with them more. So Esme says, Heather says, hello, you look beautiful. Thank you so much, Heather. Esme says, sometimes opposition parties block from connecting with your team, and that sucks. Okay, so in that case, it would be really important to do a clearing, because Archangel Michael can clear that in your space. So when I first moved to this apartment at the beginning of May, I did a huge clearing I did like a blessing actually on my home with each room. But then like a few days ago, I started having a couple of weird dreams, and I saw something out of the corner of my eye a few times. It was a spirit, and it was almost like the shoulder of someone walking by, but I saw it a few times. And I'm like, okay, time for another clearing. So you don't just do it once and it lasts forever, because the energetic environment changes as you go to and from places and then come home. And then also, if you're like me and you live in a building where there's other apartments or other people or businesses or whatever, then there's always this influx of changing energy. So just make sure that it's spiritual hygiene, right? Spiritual hygiene for your home, spiritual hygiene for yourself. So make sure that you are, getting these clearings done. And then also, if you're doing a lot of astral travel, that is definitely important to be clearing those connections. And then for someone like me who does readings for other people, I'm tuning into their energy. I'm tuning into their teams. It's super important to remember to close down those sessions properly and dissolve those energies, or it can all kind of create feedback in your home, right? Hello, Osiris Theon. Thanks for joining. So Glitter Goddess Shauna says, what if you need to make a decision? So any decision it has to come from you, right? But you can always ask your team for guidance. So the thing about free will is that your team is never going to tell you what to do. They will never say, so if you're saying, should I go this way or this way? They're not going to say, oh, go this way. and give you like a final answer. It doesn't really work like that. Or if you're in a relationship or a job and you're like, should I stay or should I go? They're not going to say, oh, you should stay or you should go. They're going to say, okay, how does it make you feel? They're going to ask like leading questions, almost like a therapist. Like, how does being in this job make you feel? Is it empowering you? Is it leading to somewhere good? Does it feel like a stepping stone? Is it providing you with something that you need right now? Are you learning lessons still? Or has it become stagnant and you're truly ready to move on? And if that's the case, then you just need the courage. And then you can pray for courage and you can pray for new opportunities. But when it comes to decision making, they're going to give you like kind of like a walk around the situation of all the different ways. How does it make you feel? I can see that it's tied to this. I can see that you're still learning this lesson, but they're not going to say do this or do that like black or white. It's going to be very gray. And so a lot of people find that out too when they're asking questions in readings. I do readings where they can ask their team questions. And the questions or the answers that come through from the team are very specific and very detailed. But again, they're very specific and detailed about all of the situation. And then it's always like, okay, now it's up to you. Now that you have the information, you make the decision. And that is important because we came here to do that. That's what free will is. We came here to make decisions, learn lessons. If we had someone making any decisions for us at all, it would actually take away some of our power and the free will, and we wouldn't know exactly what our soul would have chosen and what the outcome would have been. So it's taking away your learning and your lessons. But always, yes, turn to your team, turn to them for guidance, information, a higher perspective, and then you have to make your own decisions. Thank you everyone for joining. Ian, Chic 333, Dream Beautiful with Sharon, that's a beautiful name. Diana Dupe, Leslyn Jones, Sharma Kumar, Jordan Marks, and Glitter Goddess says, I like that pray for courage and opportunities. Yes, absolutely. So pray for the information that you need to make the best decision that you can too, right? Like, help me make this decision. What do I need to know? And then you're going to make the decision. And then you're going to pray for the courage and the opportunities or the connections of maybe a new relationship or whatever it is that you're looking for. Okay, so please drop your questions in the comments section. So the next question that I have here is from Rowinia, and it says, is it necessary to reconnect with all of our past lives to reach the highest awareness? So the thing is about past lives is that you've probably had thousands, and I know that that can be maybe hard to understand. Some people have had hundreds and hundreds. Some people have had thousands. Some people have had hundreds of thousands. It depends on the soul. And so no, you're not going to uncover every single lifetime. That would pretty much be impossible, but it doesn't matter because your soul already knows them all. It lived them all. Your team knows them all. You know them all. The reason why you can't remember them is here on Earth, there's a program called the Veil of Forgetfulness. It's a part of the 3D construct, and it's an important part of Earth because by taking away your soul memories and you knowing who you truly are, the eternal soul within, it forces you to really buy into this lifetime in a very serious way. If you believe that this life, my life as Jenny, if I believe that that was all that I had and that this was my one chance to follow my dreams and do the things that I wanted to do, you're going to take it really seriously and you're going to really buy into the role and you're going to deep dive into the lessons of this human life. If you remembered everything about who you were, you wouldn't be as invested. So what's nice is that we can, through connecting with our teams, be given some of our memories. So in the readings that I do, when people are getting past life, parallel life, because it's not really the past, right? Time doesn't exist. It's alternate or parallel lifetimes. What the team is sending is the lifetimes that are the most important for you to know right now. So if you got a reading, then you would get 3. And they would be lifetimes that were either affecting you now, where the energy is still affecting you. Maybe there's karma still. Maybe there's healing that needs to be done. Or it's shining through some way in this lifetime and needs some kind of resolution. Or it's just something that is going to be helpful for you to know. Somehow it's going to unlock soul memories for you, which they do. Absolutely they do. So Some lifetimes are definitely important for you to learn to reach that unlocking of your highest self, your Akashic records. Your Akashic records and soul memories are held in your soul star chakra. It's like a golden pyramid above the crown, a couple of feet above your crown chakra. So you can unlock that. I actually have a guided meditation on YouTube about the soul star chakra, but just know, disclaimer here, that when you unlock that, it can be a little overwhelming to have a lot of like past life memories coming through. So don't do that unless you're really ready and you want that. And I would say somebody that's ready for past life memories is somebody that's healed their childhood. So deal with the life that you're in before you go searching for other lifetimes of stuff to heal. Because just know that what comes through is not always rainbows and sunshine. Like, as you know from a lot of the stuff that I've shared with my own past lives, some of it's really difficult. Some of it's traumatic. And usually what comes through first for these lifetimes are things that are needing healing. Because your soul knows that it wants to raise its vibration, lighten up as much of the dense energy as possible. So in order to do that, the dense lifetimes come through first to be healed. So I would really suggest that unless you have a really good handle on your childhood healing and you're feeling ready, that you don't watch the soul star chakra activation video because it's really intense. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of that answer. Like, heal your childhood, go there first. That is wholeness. That is bringing you back to completion and oneness, and very important for your soul healing and raising your vibration, your frequency, right? And then feel free to delve into the past lives. Okay. Hi, Starshine and Furry Babies. Thanks for joining. Hello. So another question here is it possible, this is from the Colors of Love 2021. They've asked, is it possible to merge with your own soul in a current parallel world? Yes. It's called integration, and it absolutely is possible. So for me, like, I can only use myself as an example. I integrated a past life version or a parallel life version of myself from Orion. So there was a ton of trauma in that life. It was so painful to the point where I had like a soul shard, like a piece of my soul shatter off. And I had to do like a soul retrieval to bring this part of myself back into wholeness and turn it back online. You can follow along with that process on YouTube, and it's the Orion playlist. There's 3 videos about that experience. When I turned this part of myself back on, it was an intense amount of pain that came through. It kept me up. There was so much pain, and like I could hear her within crying and screaming and going through all of this healing. It was really intense. I felt really separate from this. It was like somebody was inside me that wasn't me. Like, I felt really separate from it until the healing happened. Then the integration could happen. And then the end result, like, long story short, is that after the integration, I felt more like myself than I had before it. I felt more like Jenny, yet I also felt more like Avia. Like, I felt like the two became one, and yet neither one lost who they were. I just felt more like both, yet I felt like one person. And I know that that's confusing, but our souls are intricate, multi-dimensional, existing on all of these realities and layers and timelines. And when you do this lifetime healing, you do the integration. And then you can be present in both timelines, if that makes sense, and call on yourself, other versions of yourself, for help. Right? Like, if you have a version of yourself that's like an incredible energy healer, and you maybe aren't in this lifetime, you can call that version of yourself in, almost like you would call in a guide. But it's more personal because they arrive in your soul within you and are able to heal from the inside out. It's so beautiful and so powerful. So Marvin, Devoted Warrior of Light, says, that's a nice question. I agree. That was a beautiful question. Hopefully I answered that well for you. Hello, The Cruise. Hello, John. Thanks for joining. Yay, love from Scotland. That's so beautiful. Hi from Northumberland. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oops. Furry Baby, thank you for sending where you're from. Guys, feel free to drop where you're from in the comments as well. I'm in Kingston, Ontario. Okay, so the next question, and please go ahead and continue to drop questions. Glitter Goddess says, oh my gosh, I feel like a part of me is missing. Is there a way to do a guided way? Yes, you can. You know what I actually did the other day? I just felt so intuitively guided. I was driving at the time too, which was so funny. But I all of a sudden felt this like feeling come over me, and I was like, I now call back to myself every version of me. I call back to myself all of the power that I've ever given away. I call back to myself all of the energy that I've sent outside of me. I call it all back. Everything that is me or mine, come back to me now. And as it comes back, I heal it with the golden light of Source. I transmute it. This is all helping me arrive into my highest timeline as my highest self. And I said it like a few times with feeling in different ways. And there was like a rushing, like almost like goosebumps, like a rushing feeling in my heart and in my chest and up my arms a little bit of it returning to me. So then after I did that, I felt like I wanted to go in the opposite way. And I sent everything that was not for my highest good or a part of me out. So going the opposite way, saying everything that is inside of me that is not for my highest good, all of the energy and the frequencies, any entities or beings, anything at all that is not for my highest good that is currently residing within the soul that I am, the physical body that I am, the energetic body that I am, must leave now. I send you out, return to your own source from where you came. And it was so powerful. So our intentions are it. That's it. That's all you need. And when you back that with feeling and emotion, or you pray on it and get Source, or I like to call Source Baba, get Baba invested in helping you to do that, it's so powerful. You can do all of this yourself, right? And then if you're still feeling like you need a little more, then get an energy healer that you trust to do a session on you. And tell them that's what you want. Either that you want to like remove what is not for your highest good, or pull back in the parts of you that are missing. Or they can just do like a general reset. That's something that I offer, is like a reset of your system back to its prime optimum flow with all of your chakras. So, treat yourself, right? Treat yourself to sessions. I actually treated myself. I have a birthday coming up, so I treated myself to a reading, not by myself, but to a reading from someone that I trust. It's so important to do this for ourselves. Even if we offer the services ourselves, you still need to treat yourself. So please do that this month. What a great month that would be to do this, because it's a really high vibrational month, June. It's very high vibe. It's beautiful energy. So, do your own intentions, do your own self-work, but maybe treat yourself to something this month from either someone local or someone that you trust that has readings or energetic services, or whatever your soul is like. You know what you need a lot of the time, right? So, perfect. Hi, Monica. Thanks for joining. Oh, Southern California. Oh, jealous. It's probably beautiful there right now. It's a little cold here today, but we're getting there in Canada. It's June now. It'll probably get like super hot really quickly and then stay that way. And then, come October, it'll get cold again. Like when we get hot here, it's so hot, so humid. Not a lot of people know that about Canada, that it's actually very hot and humid during the summer. Super hot and humid for like a short period of time, and then it's gone again. So I will enjoy it when it's here. Okay, so continue to please drop your questions in the comment section, and I will continue working through this list of questions that I have that you sent in before this live. Hello, wait, effing Buddha, 1111. Amazing, thanks for joining. Okay. Oh, watching butterflies. Glitter Goddess says it is beautiful. She's watching butterflies. I saw the first 2 butterflies of this season a couple of days ago here in Kingston. And I have this thing that I always say to butterflies whenever I walk by them. I'm such a nerd, but it makes me feel good and connected to them. I always say, I celebrate your life, because I know that their lifespans aren't long, but they bring me so much joy. They are so beautiful. They do so much for like flowers. I mean, they just represent so much hope. So whenever I see a butterfly, it doesn't matter where I am or who I'm with or whatever, I will stop and pause and I will look that butterfly in the eyes. Can you do that? And I will say, I celebrate your life. So try doing something really corny like that today. John says, I had the injection and I was worried it would impair my psychic abilities. It didn't. I feel as strong as ever. Not a question or a recommendation, just sharing. Thank you for sharing that, John, because your reality is based on your beliefs. So you keep believing in the reality that you want to experience, and you will. Our beliefs and our belief structures are more powerful than anything, any injection, any of someone like wishing us maybe like negativity or harm or anything like that. Any kind of, I don't know, evil intent, any kind of dark spirits, dark entities, you know, new world agendas, any of that, any of the stuff that scares you, you know, chemtrails, fluoride in the water, all of it. Does it exist? Yes. Can you transmute it? Yes, you can. You can transmute it with your beliefs. Whenever you take anything into your body, bless it first. You can bless your food, you can bless your water, you can bless anything. Relationships, like, because it's still consumption when you're taking in like social media, whatever. Bless it first, especially if you have a few concerns. Do a blessing, and then as it's coming into your body, visualize it like as golden light, which is so high vibrational. I find that golden energy is better for transmuting than white light. Like I actually visualize golden light. It almost sparkles. Gold is for transmutation. Gold is for transformation. So go gold when you're doing these kinds of things. But that's a great point, John. Thank you for pointing that out. And I did a video called Creating Freedom that talks all about how your reality is based on your beliefs, and it's very different from your neighbor. So, you know, someone living right alongside you, like your literal neighbor, could be living in a completely different reality than you with different rules, different everything. Because reality is flexible completely and based on the beliefs of the person creating it. So we're all humans actually living in different realities. So it's weird that we even understand each other, to be honest, but somehow we do. Somehow the realities are also connected like a giant spider web, but you have your own section, your own timeline. So use it to your advantage. Okay. So, Sight Veiler, thanks for joining. Yes, if it exists, I can transmute it, John says. Yes, believe in that. Absolutely you can. Of course you can. Okay, so the next question, and please continue sending your questions into the comments here. So the next question I have is from Scarlett and May, and it was how to feel okay with being a loner. I think that's actually a really good question. Like, what Starseed isn't, like, especially growing up and stuff, right? Probably a lot of us were. So my answer to this would just be that you are never alone. Not truly. You're not alone. And because you know that you have, like, we are constantly surrounded by spirit, right? Absolutely surrounded by spirit. And just because we can't see them, like human eyes, ears, all of that, it can barely pick up on anything. Like if you look at like a scale of like frequency, like a radio signal, if you viewed it like that, we're picking up on like this much of what's around us. There are more colors, there are more sounds, there are worlds, there are beings right now around me, there are. So you're never alone. It's about learning to tune into that and to do it safely. And then, you know, the best way is, you know, to start with your own higher self and your own intuition. I always say, like, be your own best friend, because that will also bring in really beautiful friends. And we talked about this in the quantum romance video, how you need to become the partner that you want to bring or call to you magnetically. So that's the law of attraction, and it's true. When you become something, you bring it into your existence. So become your own best friend. Hang out with yourself. Do fun things. Like I will have, like, a couple of nights ago, I did my nails. I watched a girly show, Selena, on Netflix. Oh my God, please watch it. It's so good. I got sushi. Like I had a full-on girls' night, even though it was just me. You can do that for yourself, right? And then when it comes to relationships, you can love yourself. You can be romantic with yourself. You can treat yourself however you want your partner to treat you. All of those things. Everything starts with you. Our realities, again, it's the same point. Everything starts within. Our realities do. So Be your own best friend, be your own partner, be all of those things. Yeah, so you're never alone. However, it's okay to feel lonely. You also need to like accept your feelings too, right? Because starseed loneliness is very real. It's very real. We are really spread out around the globe. Most of us are like spread out in order to affect as much of the planetary grids and the collective consciousness as possible. So we're not all together in a clump having a party. Wouldn't that be fun? We're all spread out around the world. We need to be. That's the point. So that can leave us feeling lonely, and that makes sense. And a lot of us also don't really feel like we fit in to our families either. So again, like this loneliness. So please feel your feelings, most importantly. And I always say, feel your feelings, return to peace. Because when you feel them with an open heart and you let them flow and you express them however they want to come out, you will return to peace. It's when you don't allow yourself to feel stuff or you try to block it that you have a hard time returning to peace. So, okay. John says, we are all here for each other, sharing the same planet as our home. Yep. Devoted Warrior of Light says, being a loner is dope. I just talk to myself and my team using whatever is around me. Yep, same. I am definitely my own best friend. I crack myself up even, like all the time. Hi, Gemini Healer. Thanks for joining. Okay, so the next question that I have here, and please feel free to drop any of your questions into the comment section. So the next one that I have is from Devoted Warrior of Light from Marvin, and it is, does soul amnesia and the veil of forgetting affect other dimensions? Which is such an awesome question, because I talk about how the veil of forgetfulness is a part of the 3D program, like it's a part of the third dimensional construct here on Earth, but is it also a part of other dimensions? So from what I understand, and there's always exceptions to the rule, but from what I understand, it's that the lower you go dimension wise, the more dense the energy gets and the more the soul amnesia clicks in. So for instance, if on 3D, the veil of forgetfulness, it's really powerful. It's super powerful. Like a lot of people will slumber their whole lives. Imagine 2D or 1D. So that is why the dimensions get more advanced the lower you go, right? It's actually going this way is more advanced and more difficult of a school, or however you want to look at it, of an experience. So yes, the veil of forgetfulness, the soul amnesia will get more intense the lower you go. So, that's why it's good to have compassion for, humans, other humans, as well as lower dimensional beings, which they don't get compassion. They just get a lot of hatred, but they are lost, completely lost. They have no idea who they are. They are just, experiencing a really difficult level of life. A soul level. It's like some of the hardest lessons, and it takes a really courageous, brave soul to even go there and to learn those lessons. And for more on that, you can check out yesterday's video on aliens and ETs. We talked a lot about the dimensions, about going lower, and then also in the video Extreme Level Earth, it completely covers the theory that we are actually descending, going downwards as we learn and doing harder and harder lessons, starting at source and then going through some of the easier dimensions like angelic, some of the ones where there is some duality, but it's not that intense. Because, we just came from source. We need to gently get ourselves used to each level as we go down, and each one gets more intense and we learn more intense lessons. So Earth is very advanced and really difficult. And yes, the veil of forgetfulness, which was this question, is really powerful here, but just, it gets harder. Like there's more. It's not, Earth isn't the be all end all either. So, okay. John says, how do you activate crystalline DNA upgrades? My guides keep telling me about doing it. Okay. So for me, I use golden energy for doing upgrades on people. So it's usually a chakra, right? It's not your whole self. It's usually one area at a time, or it would be really overwhelming for integration, because integration is a couple of days of like trying to flush out the old and welcome in the new. So we tend to do these one chakra at a time, or at least I do. I've done before 2 or 3, but that's intense, right? And only if it's really needed. So I picture the chakra, and what I do is I first send in pink light, because pink is the most gentle. It's like rose quartz energy, if you can picture it like that, like love. And I send it in with like waves, frequency waves, all the way around the chakra, top and bottom, completely saturate it until I see the color of the chakra take on this pink hue and I know it's there. Then I switch over to white light next. That's the next level of intensity. And same thing, I'm waving it in all the way around top and bottom. And when I get to the white light, the chakra will tend to grow and expand. It wants to fill up. So I allow it to fill as far as it wants to go. Like if it wants to keep going, I just keep sending the light. It knows what it needs. I trust it. So it will get as big as it needs to. And then the final step is the golden upgrade or transformation energy. And what I do is I actually visualize it as like sprinkling golden flecks over top of the chakra, and then they absorb in, and then the chakra, it kind of turns over, if that makes sense. Like it does how would I describe that? I don't know that I can. Like it turns over into a new version of itself and sheds a bunch of old stuff. So that's very intense. Oh, and then you seal it in, of course, when you're done. And you can seal that in with golden light. Okay, so gold is the last step and the sealing. When you've done that, though, you need to be very conscientious that you drink a lot of water that whole rest of that day, even the next day. Because doing an upgrade is really, that shedding of the old stuff is now bumping around in there loose. You need to flush it out. So lemon water is the best, and a lot of it. Flush out all of the old stuff that got shaken loose and give that new upgrade a really good chance at like settling in and staying, right? So lots of water afterwards. So hopefully that gives you a couple of steps that you can try. Glitter Goddess Shauna asked, is there a negative dimension, like a negative 1D? That's really, okay, somebody asked me that before, and I thought it was you guys have the best questions. Such a cool question. Okay, I would say that my answer is, how could there not be in a universe that is ever expanding? It's always expanding, right? They've proven that. So if it's always expanding, then there is always new dimensions, either parallel or like vertically, like, you know, like in every direction. There would always be new dimensions, new timelines, and new beings, new like different kinds of galactic beings being created, new galaxies, yes, I mean, it's ever expanding. We'll never be able to keep up with all of the learning and the lessons, which is so great, because if you're a soul that just wants to, like, some people just want to continue doing incarnations and soul lessons and learning. They don't necessarily want to go back to source and like kind of go home and absorb back into the all. They want to just keep learning. You'll never run out of like levels. If it was a video game, it's like a video game where you never run out of levels, and they're not just like from easy to hard. They go in all ways for your interest. Like, so you can do, like, for instance, if you love 5D, and then there's all these different kinds of worlds along 5D, and then that just keeps expanding, right? There are a lot of, like, there is so much that we don't know. There are so many beings and worlds that vibrate at the same frequencies, just going parallel, which is really cool. So it's not just like straight up and down, if that makes sense. But I love that question so much. Devoted Warrior of Light says, would make so much sense as the spiritual journey moves past 3D. Things start to make more sense with the soul in terms of remembering. Yeah, totally, right? Like, as you, especially when I have like, like when I have some of my most high vibrational moments, like a Kundalini awakening, that's so friggin' high vibe. I remember everything, all of it. It's like the Veil of Forgetfulness is removed for a second. That's overwhelming though, because it's like everything, the answers to every single question, all of the knowledge of the universe just comes rushing in, and it usually leads to like hysterical laughter or hysterical crying, because it's too much. It's beautiful, and you're crying or laughing out of like, in a good way, like out of the beauty of it and the gratitude of it, but your physical human body literally can't handle it, and you'll have like some kind of a weird release like that, which is interesting. And if you watch or research people describing enlightenment or a Kundalini awakening, they always mention that kind of weird like laughter or crying or both, where mine switches from like, I start out laughing and then it goes into crying, but I'm like crying out of gratitude. I'm like, it's so beautiful. Like, it's just so funny how our human bodies just can't handle, they can't deal. Okay, perfect. And then Marvin continued to say, I was definitely worried of forgetting and using the knowledge and wisdom of this experience elsewhere. You will absolutely remember. And remember that also in between incarnations, you're just the pure soul. You're not always in an incarnation. And when you're the pure soul, you have all of it, all of the memories. There's nothing being held back from you at that point. There's no need. And then the pure soul exists, not necessarily, and it's not a dimension or a realm, because those are for incarnations. It's the other place, which I try to describe in the video, What Happens When You Die. People call it heaven. I don't know what to call it. It's not a dimension. It's not. It's because those are for incarnations. Those are for lifetimes, timelines, all of that. It's something else. It's very hard to describe, but it's real. And the pure souls in between lives go there. So like when someone has a near-death experience and they describe the light, the tunnel, the heaven, all of that, that's that special place in between worlds. So I wouldn't say, oh, it's a high vibrational dimension. It's not. It's like source, maybe. But it's also kind of separate from source, because you're not being absorbed back into the all and becoming the one. You're still the individual separate soul, still having an experience. You're just not in a lifetime. So I don't know, maybe just call it heaven, or maybe call it the in-between. I mean, there's probably, I bet you different religions have different names for it. It does exist. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I've had one near-death experience where I got a glimpse of it, and it was just unreal. So beautiful. And I described that in that video, What Happens When You Die. Okay. John Binney says, descension rules. Yeah, it does. It's not all about ascension. Then I had someone say to me the other day, well, what about when you get to the bottom? Do you just go right back to source, or do you work your way now back up? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. It could go either way, because I know that some really lower dimensional entities, like if we're talking like the underworld, under 1D is under the world, like really dark, could they ascend? Could they do it the way that we have going down? Could they go up? Or would they just go back to source and kind of start at the top again? I don't know, because I'm in 3D and I don't know the answer. I feel like it depends on the soul, and I feel like it could go either way, right? Like I feel like you could definitely then start heading back upwards if you wanted to, right? So, I mean, ascension does exist, but descension is just as valuable and definitely more difficult, because you're going downwards. It gets harder. If you were ascending and coming upwards, it would get easier and lighter. Every single lifetime would be like, oh, this is amazing. Like less duality each time, less heaviness, less density, more memory, more being etheric. You'd get more and more etheric, less physical as you went up. I mean, I don't know. It would just be cool. Who knows? There are so many, like, humans, we just don't know everything. Okay, Marvin says, this might sound like a silly question, but everything has an origin. Yeah, we all come from source. Yeah. So where does source come from? I often deep think the power and beauty of source. That's an amazing question. I asked that question as a kid to the religious elders. That was part of like a cult, like not positive religion. And I asked them, well, where does God come from? If he created everything, then where did he come? Somebody had to create him. And their answer was, he just always was. It just always existed. And I don't know. I mean, that doesn't sound fulfilling of an answer, right? So source, if it's ultimate potential and it's light, and the light can become anything, even darkness, because it can become anything. It can become it becomes the souls, but it also creates like space and planets and stars. Like it's just the ultimate potential and the ultimate creator of everything. It's our parent, but yet we are it. So I mean, where did it come from? How could we possibly know? Maybe source doesn't even know. Maybe it's because everything that is created, everything that is something, has a very obvious organization to it. It's not random. It's like, it seems planned. It seems like everything flows together. in harmony, I mean, is there more than one source is an even cooler question. Like, is this source just for this universe? And then there's a multiverse, and there's a different, maybe there's a partner source to the one that we have. Maybe they come in twos. Like, I don't know. I don't know the answers. But I love pondering the question. And I don't know. Do you know? Does anyone have any ideas? What do you think about? Let me know what you think. Let Marvin know what you think about. Did Source have a beginning? Is there more than one? And to me, Source is like a grandmother spirit and a grandfather spirit. I don't believe in it embodying one gender. It's everything. So, I mean, if it had a partner, would it be the opposite of creation? Would it be destruction? Like a giant black hole to balance out the source? I don't know. Something like that. Crazy. Thanks for joining, Eels26. Okay. Perfect. So the Gemini healer said kind of like a limbo in between. Yeah, that would be like heaven. Kind of, but it was beautiful. There were angels that worked there, taking care of all of the souls crossing over and giving them healing. And like the first thing that you get is like a life review, and it's this holographic, crazy life review where you can like see all of the most important parts and digest it. And then you go into these healing chambers for a while, depending on, what you need, but a while for sure. It's not fast. There is no time, but it's like a lifetime on its own doing all of this. And then you meet with your teams and tribunals and councils about the lifetime you just had, and you go over everything again before you even think about having your next incarnation. You do all of that. And you also like meet up with any other souls that are there that that aren't in an incarnation, like family or whatever. So it's really beautiful. Okay. John Binney says, one of my guides ascended from lower realms. Amazing. So that guide would have, in my opinion, so much wisdom, because not only has he she already been on Earth, but they've gone below and then come back up to whatever dimension they're in now. I feel like that's the most wisdom of all. And, some people look to higher dimensional beings for guidance and answers, yet those higher dimensional beings have not even descended all the way down to Earth the way that you have. So they're not going to have the wisdom, the fullness of wisdom that you even have. So just know that, your own guidance is ideal, especially like your higher self when you tap into that. Unless you have a guide like what John is saying that's already completed the cycle and is either coming back up or done it maybe a few times, like you can ask them. And you also will feel it. So that's why I love Ascended Masters so much. So for instance, someone like Jesus, like he gets it. He already did Earth. And he's now reascended back up. So he did the descension and the ascension. That's complete wisdom, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, and then Devoted Warrior of Light says it's just amazing to think about Source itself. Yeah, and you should personalize Source. Make sure that it's personal to you, because it is like a personality. You know what I mean? Like, don't make it this like awe-inspiring God or just this big light that isn't personal to you. It's very important to have like a personal connection and relationship with Source. It's your creator, it's your parent, it's your grandparent. It is you. Make it personal, and you will actually get so much more out of that relationship. That's why I decided to give Source a name that works for me, which is Baba, which can mean grandfather or grandmother. And then I view it as a grandfather or grandmother spirit. And depending on what energy I need in that moment is who will come through. I will either view it and feel it like a grandfather, or view and feel like a grandmother coming to me. I can have either one depending on what my needs are. But it's personal, and I've given Source a name and created a relationship with it, right? So that would be the same as like if somebody on this call like believes in God, it's the same thing. Like if you just call it God, him or her, whatever you believe, God all the time, that's a title, but it's not personal. Like, develop a personal relationship with the creator, the infinite creator. and you will feel it in your heart. It will actually like inspire you and make you feel so safe and so loved and so seen, and just enrich your life in so many ways. So, okay, let's move on. Does anyone else have any questions? Pop them in. I've got another one here. This question is asking, did I answer the last one? Yes, I did. Okay, so this one is asking ways to open up to making connections with others while still protecting your own energy. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for joining. Okay, so ways to open up to making connections with others, but still protecting your own self, your own soul, your own energy, and all of that. So this is that spiritual maintenance for sure. So like I said earlier in this call about on a regular basis, clearing your own self. Use Archangel Michael if you don't know how to do it yourself. He wants to help. He's like so amazing. He can be in so many places at once, all the places. You're not bothering him. Please don't ever feel like you're bothering him. He wants to be there for you. So do a clearing of your physical body, energetic body, soul, all that you are. Ask for a full clearing. Clear your space. That's such an important part of spiritual maintenance, is to clear the space that you live in on a regular basis, because as you go to and from places, you're bringing stuff back. So make sure to be doing that as well. So the spiritual maintenance, and then shields. You can shield yourself. So if I am going to an appointment, or I don't know, driving or something like that, I put a little bubble around myself of protection, and it can be any color that you want. It should be personal to you. So I'm not going to tell you what color to use, because it's about your beliefs making it work. So your belief about the bubble of protection makes the bubble of protection. So you need to visualize like a color that you feel suits that. And it might be different each time. What am I feeling today that I need? Right? Green, blue, purple, whatever, gold, white. Surround yourself with that. And that's for travel, and that's for like going out and about on errands and stuff like that. However, if you were like sitting one-to-one on an intimate conversation with someone, like a family or a friend, and you start to feel something happening between the connection, either you start to feel irritated, triggered, drained, any of that, what you should visualize is a reflective energy. Like chrome, gold, silver. I've even visualized pink, but it's reflective, because what that does is it bounces the energy back to them. So if you picture something that is reflective, metallic, it will bounce the energy back to them. And the only thing that can come through that, you can picture it like a shield. Like I picture it, if they're sitting across from me the way I am from you, picture it like a big rectangular shield of reflective. I generally do pink because pink is very friendly. It's not aggressive. It's still going to allow through most energies. It's like very light and nice and friendly. So I'm still going to be able to feel what they're feeling, because I'm a very strong empath, and understand where they're coming from and be able to read their intentions and all of that. It's not a full block. However, the reflective quality to it bounces back the anything harsh, right? And you can just, and I'll say it quietly in my mind. I'll visualize the reflection, this like pink mirror, and then I will say in my mind, my shield only allows through what is best for my highest good and best for this communication and relationship, and everything else is a lesson for that person, and they're going to start to see it reflected back. So, and you'll see a change in the conversation. I did this recently where the person is being like super negative, and I put that up, and then all of a sudden they're like thinking about it, and they're like, yeah, but I don't want to be negative. Let's, you know what about this situation is actually not so bad, is the fact that this and this and this. And you know what, actually, and then it's like the whole conversation just shifted tones and went into like a higher vibe. Or if they're kind of coming down on you and you do the reflective thing, then all of a sudden they're going to realize that they've been coming down on you, and they're going to be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way. You know what? Here's what I meant. And they're going to like backtrack a little bit. So try that. Okay. And then the last question that I have here for this call, unless anybody has an extra one, pop it in the comments, is ways to open up to making, oh no, we just did that one. The last question is soul energy, what to do with soul energy that is confusing and that you can't understand or decode. Lindsay says, I love the reflective protection idea. Yes, it's perfect. It's like metallic or like mirror-like, and it just sends it back to them. And you'll just see the whole tone of that conversation just shift. It's amazing how fast it works. But you're not hurting them, right? Okay, so what to do with soul energy that is confusing, you can't understand or decode. So this happens to all of us. It really does. So the first thing to do is to sit with it. So I always describe this process, because I get this too. I always describe it as feeling like a percolation. Like I'm feeling energy like starting to percolate inside, but I don't know what it is yet. And it's almost, it literally feels like percolation, like bubbles rising up. And I'm not sure what the feeling even is yet. And it makes me a little bit anxious because I know something's on the way, but I don't know what it is yet. And sometimes it's a download or a past life or a repressed memory, which are not always fun, but something like that, right? So I feel it, the energy moving, percolating before I even know what it is. And you have to sit with it. You have to give it time. You can, if you've been sitting with it for a while, and sitting with it means feel it for where it's at right now. If that's as far as it's gotten, just feel it. Be aware of it. Sit with it in meditation, hand over heart, or whatever area you're feeling it in, and just acknowledge it. I feel you there. It's okay. Take your time. I'm here when you're ready, right? After you sit with it for a while, if you're still not getting it, pray on it, definitely, to anything that you believe in, your higher self, your team, source, whatever. Pray. You know, it's so empowering to pray, because that is intention. When you pray, you're putting an intention out there, but it's full of belief and emotion. So prayers are like affirmations or intentions, but they are full of emotion, full of beliefs, and full of your desire to resolve the situation, which is sometimes all you need. And then after you do that, you need to trust, right? You need to trust that, just like we have to trust in our path when we don't understand what way it's going. You know, like our paths are meant to go up and down and up and down. And that doesn't mean when you're in a down that you're off track. And lessons are meant to spiral around and around and around. And that doesn't mean when you see a lesson show up again, re-show up, that you're off track. That's how it works. If you're doing the things that you know that you need to do, your spiritual maintenance, your meditations, taking care of yourself, loving yourself, then trust. You need to just trust that whatever is percolating will show itself in time. Whatever is confusing, whatever you can't understand or decode, which is the way that this question was worded, whatever you can't decode yet, you will be able to in time. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe it's not ready yet, but you're clearly coming together. Trust in that. It's joining you now, right? And like, you can use my Orion lifetime as an example. Look how long that took me. You guys saw that was 3 videos over months. And each time I had a breakthrough, I filmed it for you so that you could see how that process works. That wasn't easy, was it? That was nearly a year of work. They were big realizations, huge healing and integration and soul retrieval, all of the good things. But like, it took me like a year pretty much, because it happened January of 2020. I don't even know when the last video came out, earlier this year. So that was almost like a full year. So just like, think of that, right? It's not instant. It's not weeks. Sometimes it's not months. Sometimes it's not even 1 year. Sometimes it's longer. Like something like healing your childhood can take years and years, right? But it's important, and you just don't give up on it. So don't be hard on yourself. Be patient. Trust. We need to trust more. And remember what I said at the beginning of this call? We need to start asking for help more. That was like the main message that came through for the Starseed Collective for today. Why are they not asking for help? Why do they try to do everything by themselves? Why do they act like they're alone when they're not? No one is alone. None of us are truly alone. We have like hundreds of guides. Like, your team is not small. It's intense. And then you have all these versions of yourself and your higher self and source, Baba, whatever. You know, like, we are not alone. And we have each other, right? And then, like we also said in this call, then you can also treat yourself to things when you're stuck. Treat yourself to a healing session, a reading. Like, I'm doing that this week. I'm excited about it. And it's like, okay, it's about time. Like, you know, when you've done a lot of work or you're going through a huge shift and a huge change, those are the times to treat yourself. You know, don't do everything alone. You're not alone. So start using other humans, start using other starseeds, leaning on people, start leaning on your higher self, your team, your guides, your angels, the galactic beings, source, ancestors, your pets. They're like little spirit pets too. Like almost all the pets that I've ever done readings for people have been with you in other lifetimes. Like, they know you. Use them. Rely on them. Please stop trying to do everything by yourself. Okay? You don't need to be. What does that do? That's toxic. That's toxic masculinity, where you're saying, like, I don't need anyone. I can do it all by myself. I don't need anyone. That's not divine masculinity or femininity. That's getting into the toxic side of those aspects, right? It's really like when you're in aligned femininity or masculinity, it's about like teamwork. It's about working together. It's about relying on one another. And I would just really suggest that you take that first message that I did in this call to heart and stop trying to do everything alone, because you're not alone. Okay, so Lindsay says, I clearly popped in at the right moment. I needed to hear that. That's amazing. Thank you all, the rest of you, for joining. Devoted Warrior of Light says, so right, I have an issue of being patient and waiting things out. I should work more on that. Oh, you are not alone. That is literally the number one lesson I'm learning right now. And maybe have been this whole friggin' incarnation. And it is my most hated. But it's like, it just keeps coming up. I'm clearly not getting it. Like, a lesson will keep coming up if you don't get it. And I'm clearly not getting it because it just keeps coming up. And it's like, each time it's more intense and I have to wait longer and be more patient. And it's like, okay, well, if I don't really do it this time and I don't really get the lesson, then imagine how bad it's going to be next time. It's going to be the most intense patience required. So I'm learning it this time. And I keep saying that when I feel frustrated or impatient. No, I'm learning this lesson. I'm getting this. This is really important that I get this, so that my next experiences in this life plus my next lifetime can be so much more full of ease and things manifesting quickly and all of those beautiful feelings, right? So do not feel bad if you struggle with patience. It is not a starseed strength. We are used to a lot of higher dimensions, and we are used to getting things like instantly, creating things instantly. So please don't feel bad. I'm the worst. I'm literally the worst at patience, and I'm learning. So, okay. Perfect. So if there's anything else from anyone, I think I'm going to leave it there. That's the last question that I had written down, and we went over the ascension symptoms at the beginning of this video, what's going on right now, what's going to be happening in June, and then we did that main message about, why are you trying to do things alone? You don't need to. And then we did a bunch of Q&A. So I think that's pretty good for today. So I'm going to be, I just clicked this. So I'm going to be going on with my day to film some videos. Please know that you can always send me video requests through Instagram if you want, or you can comment them in YouTube if you're subscribed. And if you're not subscribed over on YouTube, I would encourage you to get over there. There's new videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So many. Really good. Like the last one that just came out was all about aliens, ETs, and dimensions. It's super cool. What's coming out on Wednesday is Ship Contact. So if you're interested in that, like CE5, Close Encounters, all of that, then definitely get subscribed before Wednesday for that video. And then after that video, we're going to be talking about the annular solar eclipse happening June 10th. So a ton of important stuff coming up. So definitely get subscribed over on YouTube. If you're wanting to work with me, you can check out the link in my bio. There's healings, one-on-ones, breakthrough sessions. I'm really loving the breakthrough sessions lately. They've been my favorite. And then readings, tons of different kinds of readings. So click on the link for either the healing or the reading. And then you can see all of what's available in that, and you can apply through the website. So thank you so much. One last thought here from Marvin. So true. Thank you, Jenny. It always feels like common again. What did I do wrong? But it's definitely a lesson to be learned. Yes, that's patience. That's definitely patience, but we're getting there together. So thank you all for joining me today. And before you go, I just want to remind you to listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Bye.